Hey, greetings. Welcome back to the Soul Citizens. I'm GriffinGamingRPG. Today is Sunday, April the 12th, and I am joined by two of my wonderful co-hosts and Soul Citizen team members, the one and the only. Let me start off alphabetically. B for BandoCalrissian. How are you, my friend?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Everything going good? What you got? What's that background you got back there? I can't tell what that is exactly. Is that
You
the
know
new
what it
planet?
is.
What is
No,
that?
that's the railing.
Folks are just counting down. You said you were going to
I,
get your protest letter for the railing this year, right? If it
look, I was going to draft everyone to get on my letter campaign of hate.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that the railing is going to blow the doors off in the sense of alien ships? Because most of the time, people ain't crazy about alien ships that much. You think that this is going to be the alien ship that a lot of people get into, or do you think it's going to be like some people yes, most people no?
I think yes, actually, because the way it's designed and it's going to be like the first big alien ship. I think so.
Okay,
I think this is
okay.
when it's going to blow off the doors.
All right. Well, we're only a couple months away. We're closer than ever. So hopefully, I've got one. So we'll see what happens, right? All right. And also joining us, the one and the only Captain Jones. CJ, how are you, my friend?
Well, how you doing, Griff? How we doing, all my soul friends out there?
Yeah, good. How was your week? Everything good for you?
Another day in the verse.
Another year in the verse. Another day, another week, another year.
Gotta
All
count it by
right.
days. It's less depressing that way.
That's this is true. This is true. So listen, we're here today. As you guys know, we start out our show each week. We do kind of a review of everything that's going on within the Star Citizen community, and then we get into our second hour. We pick up our topic, which is going to be Star Citizen 1.0. But as always, and I said this last week, it seems like our first half of the show is getting more and more content and more stuff to talk about. So there's a lot that happened this week. We are not going to be able to hit it all, but we're going to hit what we can, and hopefully we'll cover the topics that you're interested in, because I know you guys have listened to a lot of people this week leading up to us. So first of all, we want to say thank you to everybody who is here. There's some quick shout outs to folks that we see in the room. Pops in Space kicked us off with the very first one today. The Prisoner is here. Hail all. Danger Hobo is out there. As always, CC Creator, we see you out there. New Soul Sounds. Pagla Mia is out there. And Citizen Ninja. See, and I always run into Citizen Ninja almost in every content creator show I watch. Citizen Ninja and The Prisoner are the two people that are out there. They're holding it down for everybody. So, look, thank you all for being here again, helping us kick off the show today. Let's just jump into it, because, like I said, there's a lot that's going on this week in the Star Citizen community. First up, gentlemen, April subscriber promotion. CC Conversions. This is the same company that makes the Azrael helmets. They came out with a new one, which I heard some inklings about that this Sapphire one was coming, but it's the Sapphire helmet. And CIG kind of created a package this time around, where not only is it the helmet, because last time it was two helmets, but now they're giving us this PSX pistol case with a bearing, S38 pistol, and accessories. And I guess if you're Centurion, you get the helmet. If you're Imperator, you get both. Uh, Bando, I'm going to come to you first, and you tell me your thoughts on this particular subscriber promotion. And do you have one? That's the next question.
Let me start with that last question first. I have one, and so
Okay.
actually I have both,
Okay.
and I actually dig that helmet a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It matches a lot of the stuff that I've been wearing, so I'm with the helmet. And that case is pretty cool. I was really surprised, but you know, um, I like that case.
Okay.
They did a good job with that.
Okay. All right. Captain Jones.
Yeah, I go in the same order. Do I have it? Yeah. Do I think it's cool? Absolutely. I mean, the S38 it used to be one of my favorite pistols. I say it's fallen off a bit with some
Mm-hmm.
of the later patches, but the case is cool. You can actually store the case in your ship. You know, displays it snaps to some of the newer ships like the Almighty Aurora. You can go
Mm-hmm.
out there and display it. So yeah, I love it. I'm hoping that they give us more of that. I'm glad to see that we got something different for once.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with you. The fact that it's something different, I definitely appreciate. But this is my butt to this, and I'm glad you guys said it because, to be honest with you, I have not taken the case out to look at it. I am wondering about this balance between what CIG gives us that's just cosmetic, and that's both cosmetic and functional. And so I'm going to ask you guys, are items like this, is it important for you to items like this that they are both, or is it cool that, like, you don't even look for a certain level of functionality and stuff like this? You just think like, hey, as long as I can showcase it, I can put it in my crib, I can put it on the shelf, I can put it on my ship. Because like when we got that medical case the other day, the one with the medical stuff and the pins, I'm trying to figure out what's this balance between things that are actually functional and then those things that might be just cosmetic. So since you guys have handled this, does the case do anything? Does it open? Does it latch? What, or anything like that? Anything special about it? I know the gun's
I
functional.
I personally could not get that case open. I don't know what was happening on my end, but I've been having trouble anyway. But I couldn't get that case open,
Is it
so I don't.
supposed to open? It is. I'm assuming it is, right? Because it's on the
I
display.
mean, it looks open in the display, on the picture, but I couldn't
Okay.
get it to open.
You couldn't get it to
So
open. Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it opens for you. It's a cool little case. And then to go back to your question about functionality, it was all cosmetics for me. I saw a case, but
Okay.
it looked cool, something I didn't have before. I knew I could display it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, got it. I mean, Pops brought it up well here in the chat. He says the 00 case. So
Yeah.
got the cool little Spy 007. You pull it out. It's got the silencer and the attachments, and
Okay.
it's a nice little trinket.
Okay.
Will I
So
ever
all
use
those.
it? No, but do I have it displayed? For sure.
Okay. So those items are retrievable, right? Retractable from it. You can pull them out, the mags and everything.
Yeah, yep. You get accessories, you get mags, you get the
Okay.
gun, you get it all.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's cool. I mean, I know it says it in the description, but I just wasn't sure if it was more of a cosmetic thing or something that was actually functional. So that's cool. All right. Okay.
Did you
Well,
try
for
to put
those,
it back in?
it did, right?
You take anything out and put it back in? That's what I'm
That's the
wondering.
question.
If
That's
it
the
works.
question. Can you put it back in? Right. Well, for those of you who are subscribers, what's out there right now. If you're not a subscriber, and again, CIG has stated that things will pop up in the universe. It may not be the same color or something customized or pattern on something, but the items eventually do pop back up in the verse. So don't feel the urgency to have to get things like this. They do eventually pop up in loot crates or other mission things. So, or when manufacturing and blueprints come. So, but it is a cool little perk. I think it is very nice. Very nice. Okay. Next up, this week, big thing, Captains of Industry popped up. And this was kind of a broad thing. I know you guys can pick whatever you want to talk about this, but the thing I want to mention to people in case they missed it is that a part of Captains of Industry, beyond the paints and the ships that they designated, there is a tab in there that you can click on that takes you to the cargo and hauling guide. And CIG has been putting these different types of guides out now. They did an engineering guide. I think they did one for salvaging, and now they put out one for cargo and hauling. Did you guys see that guide that was in there, or did you miss it? Because it was actually just a button there that took you to that page. Did you guys see it?
I totally missed that.
Yep,
And
I did too.
I hate being a longshoreman, so I just skim right over it.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. I got you. I think Fast Cart will drop the link in. He dropped the link in for Captains of Industry. There's a second link there, Fast Cart, right underneath it, and that's the one for the guide. If you guys are into cargo and hauling, you might want to take a look at that guide. Some of it, if you're already doing it, you probably know most of it. But if you're interested in it, or this week these new ships like the Hull B have gotten you interested, then it might be something that you guys might want to consider taking a good read on. Captain Jones, to you. This whole Captains of Industry thing this week. Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool to spotlight something that was other than the pew pew. We'll get plenty of that coming up next month with Invictus. I think
Okay.
one of the big surprises for me was seeing that E was CCUable. So not
Yeah.
not all are probably have the same mindset as Bando when it comes to that particular gameplay of flinging boxes around. But if people are looking for that, and they're definitely looking for a limited ship like that whole E, it's available.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, like I told you before, Griff, I will gladly pay you to load and unload.
It's fine with me. It's so funny that some people are like, yeah, I'll do this, but I am not loading one box. I told Bando, I said, don't worry, we'll set up a contractual agreement and I'll make sure I get to take care of his ships for him. What did you guys think about the whole thing with the oh god, what was it called? The United Resource Workers, the whole, branding and that with the paints. Did you think that was cool? Didn't like it? Because
I liked
and what
it.
are your thoughts
I
about
thought
it?
it
Yeah.
was
Hmm.
I thought it was cool because I saw that they've started sprinkling those in here and there. I think the very first time I saw it was with the Atlas. They
Hmm.
branded the United Workers. But what made it pop out for me is that when we think about them talking about us having guilds and aligning the guilds in the future, I don't know if a lot of people noticed, but that was one of the guilds from that CitizenCon presentation. So looked
Hmm.
like, some of that wasn't all just smoke and mirrors. Looked like they're starting to try to lead towards that path to 1.0 and seeing one of the guilds
Hmm. Okay.
here
Yeah.
on the ships and labeled there, and knowing that it actually is relevant to
Mhm.
United Workers in the cargo and the hauling and the industry, and not just a random paint. It wasn't
Mhm.
just a new paint with a new color that it has some significance. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, Jade mentioned something too. She says, I feel that the paint should be earned. I love the paint and the design that they did, but I agree with you, Jade. I kind of would have been expecting this more for once you started taking on. And by the way, when we do the show today, we're going to be talking about CIG, talking about these guilds and these mission groups that you're going to get. And this is one of them, the United Resource Workers. And so I also would have liked to have seen, like, we earn these paints as we go for our ships. I don't know. This is an introduction to it right now. And I noticed that there were some ships they did it for and some that they didn't. So it would be really kind of cool to see how this is going to balance out in the end. Because I think it was like there's like total of 7 or 8 vehicles that they did this for, but there were other ones that they didn't. And I was kind of like, okay, they did it for this, but they didn't do it for that. But yeah, I agree. I think that these paints with the branding. Now the paints could be available. I don't mind the blue and white, but I think once you put that moniker on there, it should be because you've worked for them, right? Or you've contracted under them. But we'll see. We'll see. This is all about testing again. So let's see where things go later on. But I agree with you, Jade. It would be kind of cool to do that. Bando, did you buy anything or did you stay away from spending money?
I stayed absolutely far away from
You
spending any
did.
money.
Oh
I did.
man. Man with the
You know
iron
what? Hold on.
the
Hold on.
iron
I
wallet.
did
You
get the
held out.
Aurora. No, I did get the Aurora. So,
Well, the Aurora was from the other one though, so you're okay.
yeah,
I mean,
this
you didn't
one,
buy anything from
yeah,
Captains of Industry though. You didn't buy anything from
no,
Captains of Industry.
absolutely not. You,
Okay,
you know
okay.
how I feel about you know space trucking.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
I'll
no, but
I'll,
yeah, but
I'll
you're
drive
you're
it.
getting a Raylan though. But you're freaking getting a Raylan.
See, I'll fly anything. I just won't unload it or load it. That's all.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
Cap, what
I kept
about
my
you?
wallet shut for
Uh,
this though.
you did? All right. Cap, what about you? Did you drop any dough or did you hold out?
My plan was to hold out, but we all know best laid plans of mice and men. So I held out until I saw that CCU for the whole E. And even though
Mm.
I don't plan on being a space trucker, I do plan on building that soul station. So I figured
Hmm.
ship that could hold the most cargo would be the easiest way to get that cargo to the station and get it built. So
Yeah.
I did get the CCU for that.
Okay. Okay. You got a CCU. All right. That's cool. Yeah, as much as I'm a big hauling person and cargo and freight person, I have been vacillating between do I want to, I've got a C, right? The C was the one that was in the middle that I got. And my original plan was to get the A and the B and then use those to buy a D and an E. But that means some serious grinding. And so there's a part of me now that says I should get the E and the D and the E and then work for the other ones because those will be easier to do. I can't decide, but I got rid of my A, I got rid of my B. The only thing I have right now is a C. So maybe I'm just going to stay there for now and leave well enough alone, but we'll see what happens with that. Okay. Yeah, check out that cargo hauling guide. For again, those of you all who may not have seen that, take a look at it. Uh, let's take a quick look at the behind the ships because we were just talking about the big thing. Well, there were 2 vehicles that were sold this time, and the first one that we're going to talk about is the Miss Cole B. We're just going to watch the behind the ships real quick. It's fairly short, and then we'll give some comments about that, and then we're going to come back and talk about the UTV. So let's take a look at that video real quick.
The Holby is our premium medium freight ship in the universe. It's capable of carrying a significant amount of cargo between stations within a system or across multiple solar systems.
It sits between the Hull A, which is kind of your entry into the cargo hauling profession, and the Hull C, which is kind of big, serious, interstellar cargo hauling runs.
In terms of scaling and role, the Hull B is closer to the Hull A in terms of gameplay flow and mechanics, without the challenges of the more complicated setup and flow of the Hull C.
When you first look at the Hull B, you definitely notice a MISC ship. MISC is a high-end industrial manufacturer. It's a very clean art style. Visually, you kind of got these really large, clean, panelled, kind of bulbous shapes.
Think about the aesthetic of the 50s and bring it to a more futuristic.
You've got these really large, heavy-duty landing gear. You can clearly see it being built to take a lot of weight.
And then move along the top, and there's some really nice detail, some nice ribbing where the remote turret sits. Continuing along the top, there's a nice spoiler towards the rear.
When you see this ship collapse, it feels almost like a little shuttle that could fly about. But then as you start to look at the back, you've got these massive engines on the rear of it, and then that gives you a bit of a visual indication that maybe there's something a bit more to the ship than what you see at first glance.
Much like the rest of the Hull series, it has a compacting and extending spindle in the centre section that allows the ship to have a smaller silhouette and shape when not carrying cargo, and then expanding out to carry the maximum amount of cargo.
It's quite a marvel of engineering in how much spindle and cargo grid we've managed to fit into such a small space when it's collapsed.
It holds 512 SCU of cargo, up to 1632 SCU crates. You can either load the cargo manually with handheld tractor beams, or the co-pilot has access to 2 front-facing remote tractor beam turrets in order to load cargo from within the vehicle.
External cargo has the great benefit that it is by far the quickest to load and unload. You can simply rock up to a location and then use the tractor beams on the ship to attach and detach cargo, rather than having to thread these larger, especially the 32 SU containers, through restricted doorways at the back of ships. So you have to be smart about where you use the Hull B. It's quick to load, but also, if you find yourself in a tricky situation, it's very quick for someone else to unload it for you. When it was first announced, it was promised to be able to land with its full capacity of cargo. However, over time, the cargo system changed, the design of ships have changed. And when you look at the Hull A and the Hull C, they have a sort of cross arrangement, and doing this for the Hull B and the stated amount of cargo that we had said at the start, it just simply couldn't land without having the most comical, super long, gangly legs. So from that point onwards, we went back to concept, had multiple iterations of different cargo arrangements to suit the new capacity, and we settled on moving from the cross arrangement to rotating it 45 degrees into the X arrangement you see today.
And it still looks really good when it's open or closed, but it's still able to hold all of its cargo when landed.
The Hull B is great in that you can load it from both within hangars and external freight elevators. And then in the future, we want to allow you to be able to also use the facilities of docking, so you can truly load it from anywhere with any sort of cargo. Another advantage of the Hull B compared to, say, the Caterpillar, which has a very similar amount of cargo capacity, is the Caterpillar is a large hangar and the Hull B is a medium, so you have more accessible locations to land throughout the universe, being that there are more medium hangars in general than large.
You walk into the entrance area, which has our 2 suit lockers, a weapon locker, and a small bench to prepare yourself for leaving the ship. Coming up the personnel lift, to your left is a door to engineering. This houses most of the major components for the ship and the engineering screen.
Center stage in there is the big mechanism that allows the ship to retract and extend its cargo grid.
Heading to your right from the personnel lift, you walk into the main corridor. This is a main thoroughfare of the ship. This also houses some of the other components. To one side is a mess hall.
You have a 2-seat table and a kitchenette.
On the opposite side of the corridor is the habitation area.
When you get in, you have like a bunk bed on your left, nice desk with its fridge and some shelves. You also have on the right space on the wall to hang up posters, and then the bathroom door.
As you enter into the bridge of the ship, as soon as you walk in, you know you're in a MISC ship. I know the MISC dashboards can be a little bit divisive. Maybe, on some of our previous ships, we maybe pushed the size of the dashboard a little bit too far, so it was something that we were quite conscious of with the whole B. But we have pushed the pilot and the co-pilot seat further forward, so you're kind of sat more into that letterbox, just to give you better visibility out.
Very happy with the whole B. I think it's a great ship. Looking forward to seeing lots of them populate the verse.
The ship is for those people who are more serious about cargo, who are those people who need maybe slightly more cargo space than a raft, for example.
I think it really is that sweet spot between cargo capacity and size.
Okay. Give me some thoughts, guys. What do you think about it so far? I'll go to Captain Jones first this time.
I think it was a well-built ship, so I don't necessarily look into mixed ships or the cargo game, but if I was looking for something that did fit in that window of size versus functionality, great ship, the design language of it. Design language for mixed overall is starting to really flesh out. You can really tell it's a mixed ship, which actually leads into the reason why I don't like mixed ships is that cockpit / bridge, whatever you want to call it. I just hate the view. But the view in the whole B, as he pointed out in the video, it did seem like it did improve quite a bit. So improved enough that it did influence my decision to get that whole E.
Okay. Bando, what about you?
So that was my gripe on MISC a lot, was that dash. That dash was just so huge and you just couldn't see. I love that they changed it. As being a subscriber, you can get it right now and take a look at it. And I was like, okay, this is nice. This is much better. Still not my design style. But yeah, if somebody's looking for that, it's perfect. It's like, I'm going to say it's the best hole that I've been in.
It's been interesting to hear backers' feelings about the evolution of ship manufacturer design. And this conversation kind of came up when the Aurora moved from Mark 1 to Mark 2. And here, same thing. I was having a conversation with Parodies, and he and I were talking about, the design of the hull C. And then there was the obvious upgrading when the hull A came out. It seemed to be more sleek, more modernized. And then we got the Starlancer series, which seemed to take it even further along. And it seems like this one kind of lands somewhere between the Starlancer and the hull A to me. And I actually like the fact that the A, B, and C all have their own distinct look in the sense of that cockpit area, the command area. I'm actually glad that they don't all three look the same. I like the fact that they are all slightly different and distinctive. Some people may not like that. Some people may say, hey, let's just keep it as one. But I actually like it when there's a shot in here where they show all three of them together. And I actually like that. Now, obviously, the evolution is probably going to progress even further when we get to ships like the Odyssey and the Endeavor, right? But the fact that there is a much more, where there was kind of a retro-ish feel back in the day, this is kind of still has a little bit of the retro to it, but it has a much more, to me, streamlined look. But we'll see where they go with it. People that I've talked to who have flown it, I have not flown it and used it in anything yet, but people say that it's easy to load. I've saw some people say they should make the whole D and E like this. I don't think that's going to happen. The capacities are too big. The ship would be 3 blocks long. If you did that, I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I think they're going to have to still go with the crosshatch that they have, like with the Hull C when they do the D and E series. But who knows? But I don't. This elongated version, based upon the size that the D and the E are supposed to be, would be like a freight train. It actually be like the meme that was in the B. Remember the whole B, the B commercial they did the week before? It would look like that if you were talking about putting that many boxes onto it.
Yeah, you would. The landing gear on that would be unsightly.
Yeah, exactly. But I think they did a great job on it. I think that we're seeing a progression of like you said, Captain Jones, the MISC design language is getting solidified more and more, just like RSIs, right? They're really defining these lines really, really good. So
Like our size, but not as good as our size.
Colossal's going to definitely start throwing stuff at the monitor when you say that. You know that, right? Oh my goodness. Who is that? Thracazogs. Thank you so much for giving out that community sub. Good to see you out there, Thracazogs, as always. We don't have a video for this one, but there were videos in the past about this. The Great Cat UTV. I remember when there was a lot of talk about this vehicle, and there are people who are very excited about this vehicle. And it took me a few days to finally get in it and drive it. And it handled well. And I was like, oh, this is actually kind of nice to drive. I mean, it was pretty cool, right? But I have no enthusiasm for it. And I don't know if it's because, and I'm just leave it there. You guys give me your thoughts, any thoughts that you might have about the UTV. But before you do that, Blackwater Goat, thank you for giving out those 2 community subs. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you, bro, as always. All right, Bando, I'm coming to you first on the UTV. Give me your thoughts.
All right. So I had no interest in it whatsoever. But being a subscriber, you can get it. So I have, the extra large hanger. I pulled it out, got in it, and it handles really well. I just started making a NASCAR ring around my hanger.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
It was just fun. So I don't know how it's going to do on terrain, but flat surfaces, that thing is a hoot.
Yeah. And it's interesting because vehicles have been in such a bad space as far as consistency of driving, and getting in this one, I didn't feel that. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it handled, like you said, I was in the hangar, but it actually handled like, wow. And I was using joysticks on top of it. And it was like, oh man, this is kind of cool. Captain Jones, your thoughts on the UTV?
I like it. There's a few things I like about it. Utility vehicle has utility in the name, and it does have a lot of utility to it because you can put that one SDU box in the back. So for those other loot goblins out there that like to hit up distros or bunkers, they just want to pile up as much loot as they can. It's easy to do with that box. Also, like, which is a little different from what we've got with our regular storage for weapons. The weapon racks, the way they store on the sides of the vehicle is pretty cool. They display nicely. I think the Polaris is the only weapon rack in the Polaris, so the Captain's Core is the only other rack that I've seen that you can kind of use as a trophy piece there, the way you display it off on the side. So, nice companion to the STV. I still wish that SIG would give us a vehicle like that had an enclosed canopy.
Yes.
So for those Zeus owners and the like who can't put an Ursa in there, can still go into maybe more inhospitable areas on planets and things like that without atmosphere and so forth. I'm hoping that we see something like that in the future.
Yeah, I was hoping because the STV was open air, to your point, Cap, that this one was going to be closed. And I know that there's this whole balance thing with why we use certain vehicles where, in an enclosed vehicle, you won't have the ability, for example, to shoot, right? If you're in an open vehicle, you may have that ability to be able to fire your weapon if necessary. But of course, the trade-off is you're exposed to weather and weather conditions. We lost Cap. He'll be back in a second. So, I do have to kind of, there was part of me that said, if the STV is open, make the UTV closed. Especially this assault, but then there's the mule, right? That's the alternative. So we'll see. Do you think that this will push vehicles, Bando, like the Mule, these other small vehicles, utility vehicles? Do you think that this carries a 1 SCU box? I know there are plenty of people who bought the Mule when it came out because it carried 2 boxes, but it has never operated, right? I mean, you can force a box into the back. The front don't work. The front doesn't work.
Right.
Do you think this is going to be a challenge to that vehicle? The Mule's going to be obsolete, or do you think it's just a matter of the Mule becoming functional and then it'll step up and be just as much utility?
I think once it's functional, it'll step up. But right now, this is the go-to. I've actually wanted to try to see how far I could get it into a distro because Jones and I are definite loot goblins. So, or even a bunker. How far can I get this thing in there? So, yeah, right now this is peak.
Okay. I didn't see a price for this. How much was this thing? You guys know?
I think it was 35. I'm not sure, but I think it was
I didn't even look.
$35.
Yeah, I didn't even look. Oh, War Bond. Thank you, Shimpasta. 35. You hit it on the mark, Bando. 35 for War Bond. There was another price increase. This was that price. We didn't talk about it on the whole B, so I'm going to go back to the whole B for just a hot second. So y'all forgive me for going back because it was a question I did mean to ask these two brothers. What was you guys' thoughts about the price increase? This ship, let me give the history for those of you who don't remember on the Hull series. The original Hull series price was the Hull A was $60 and the Hull B was $90. And then when the Hull A came out, the prices went up and the Hull A went from 60 to 90. And then the Hull B went from 90 to 140. And now that and we always know when a ship releases, it's going to go up one more time. Now, take into consideration, this ship was originally supposed to be 384 SCU, and it is now 512. That puts it comparable to the Caterpillar and puts it right behind the C2. It puts it right behind the Gatak Raylan by 100 SCU. So it doubled. It went from 140 to 280. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think it's justified based upon the changes in design? Do you think it's inflation? Do you think it's like, it's too much money? Whoever wants to answer, y'all jump on in.
Okay. I honestly think it was a lot. That's a huge jump. Okay. I get that it went double, but from 90 to 280 is nuts. And I can't imagine what the Raylan's going to be like. So, and on top of that, with the alien tax. So, yeah, I thought that was a bit much, but I mean, people are going to pay for it. So, if they like it, they're going to pay for it.
That's true. Cap?
I think my perspective of it maybe being too much is based on the fact that knowing how much it was before. But when you look at the full scope of the ships and the ships that it competes with, I think it is priced right. And then for backers coming in fresh, who weren't there for the concept sales, we're not going to know any better anyway. So price-wise, looking at what you get as far as the amount of cargo you can carry, and you see how things like the raft did go up in price when it increases cargo, does seem right. But ignorance is bliss. So if I didn't know about the old price, I would think differently. But since I know, it's like a steal. Little bit of us. It does poke you a little bit. But I think the price is fine, and I'm glad I got the Raylan at the price it is now, because who knows what that's going to end up being later.
Yeah. To Bando's point, it's like, and to your point, if you didn't know what the original price was, you say, "Oh, this is a steal." And if you know what the price was, you say, "I got robbed." So it depends on which way you want to look at it, right?
Right.
All right. Let's jump to Roadmap Roundup. Time is ticking away already. Geez, Pete. Roadmap Roundup. What they basically did was announce from 4.7 the fact that the Raylan and the UTV were released, but they did once again talk a little bit more about 4.8. In each time, we're kind of adding a few more things to that. One of the things they came up with, and this was something the CIG showed us at CitizenCon Direct last year, was tactical strike groups. They're going to be implementing a new cooperative ship combat experience featuring a series of objectives and challenges designed for multi-role fleets. Players are encouraged to bring a diverse lineup equipped the right loadouts, and be ready to refuel, resupply both ships and FPS players on site to succeed. This card has been set to tentative. This was mentioned in a couple weeks ago. We talked about the fact that CIG is going to start setting up ships like the Perseus, the Polaris, any of the ships that have like these grids on them where they have hangars, where players will be able to reload their ships. And they said this was coming. So obviously that's crucial to tactical strike groups. Captain Jones, your thoughts about tactical strike groups? You think, my question to both of you actually is this: are players going to get coordinated? Because it seems like this is like really like combined arms, coordinated effort type playing. Or do you think you're going to find people are going to still solo their way through a multiplayer event? Captain Jones, let me ask you, what are your thoughts about the tactical strike groups?
In theory, based off of the little they've shown us so far of having to coordinate between, fighters and the big capital ships, I can see you not being able to solo it. That's always in theory. We always find a way to solo any of the group content they've given us before. But if you can't solo it, back to your first question, will people coordinate? They're going to have to. So if they built it in such a way that you actually do have to coordinate, as soon as people do try to solo it or minimalize it with, main crew a few times, realize they need more, people will come together, and I think it's exactly what SIG needs to start doing. They're giving us all these big ships and these capital ships and really no gameplay to go with it. And, as soon as people realize, hey, we're better together, maybe some of that group gameplay will start to flesh itself out. People start using strategy, tactics, whether they want to or have to. I think it'll happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bando, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Cap. We need this type of gameplay. It's time for our big ships to shine. So, yeah.
Okay.
I just think about all the times that we try to do it and just doesn't work. But sometimes now that we actually have something that's dedicated to it, I'm ready to try this out and see if we can get coordinated and do multi-role and multi-fleet positions. So it's going to be pretty cool. I would like to see what a Polaris and a Perseus and several other ships, what they can do.
I would like to see, I'm reading something the Lady Space Patrol is saying. I would love, even though we talk about the bigger ships coming in, the idea, I think when CIG showed us as a CitizenCon Direct, was that it would be various types of ship, kind of more of like the right tool for the right job, right? So you would get, you would need fighters, right? You may need light fighters. You may need some type of heavy fighters involved. You may need to have a Perseus or a Polaris, things like that, or an Idris for refueling, things like that, right? So you've got like this cross section of ships that are needed to do an event. I would also love to see them make these things like dynamic in the sense of unpredictability. So let me give you an example. Maybe the first time you go there, you need, I'm just picking random numbers, y'all. 4 fighters, 2 heavy fighters, a Perseus, and you're able to go in that way, and you're able to do the mission. Now, when you go back the next time, that formula don't work. It literally has changed, and the demands are now different, right? They may be greater. And all I'm saying is that each time you go, I don't want the predictability of knowing here's the formula to finish this mission. I want to be able to see each time I approach this mission type that we're going to go in and see what we need. And if we have to call in more people or if we've got overkill, that's cool too. But I would want it to be dynamic because in mind you can have different missions. I think it's going to be important that CIG is always creating new variables and new missions for people to do. But I also want there to be a replayability to them as well. You know what I mean? So that you just do it once and it's done and we know how to do it. I want to be able to say, Bando might say, I never did it before. When I go in there with Bando, this time we get our butts kicked, right? Because that formula I told Bando don't work this time around. I would love to see stuff like that happen in these special these locations where these dynamic missions could happen. I know that's a lot to ask for maybe, but that's what I would love to see happen.
I agree. Honestly, I agree. Every time you go in, it's totally different. I would love that.
the requirements can change. Okay. QV extraction missions. Located in the Nix system, the QV extraction station provides key infrastructure for the new Tactical Strike Group's content. This card has also been set to tentative. I went in for the first time with Captain Jones and the group last week. We did the QV mission. I'd never done it before. It was a lot of fun. It was actually a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed it, and it was challenging. Made it through, survived, thank God. But this is some new stuff that they're adding in with the Tactical Strike Groups. What do you guys think about this as far as them expanding on this whole QV thing now? Excuse me.
I think it's good. I mean, they have the assets out for these various locations, and then piggyback on your point there. The content is actually pretty fun, but it's fun for the first time. So I would like to see it be more dynamic, like you said, so that you can only create so many new missions over and over again without running out of replayability. So if they learn to not only create these missions, but create them in such a way that you have reasons to keep going back, that's going to end up being really exciting.
Bando, any thoughts on these two? Or are you just looking forward to some different types of QV missions?
I'm looking forward to some type of QV mission. I went legendary on one QV mission, so I tried not to go too hard in the paint. So
okay.
But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward.
Okay.
Looking forward to these.
Okay. Cool. New hairstyles. TIG has been pumping these out every patch. We get some new hairstyles. Implementing, this time it was 4 last time. This time it's 7 new hairstyles. There you go, Bando. And 1 new beard, along with updates to 1 hairstyle, 1 beard to bring them up to current quality standards. And a lot of people actually I've been noticing, I'm seeing more faces that look different now. Everybody doesn't look the same running around in the game now. Have you guys looked at any of these and thought about changing your character, or are you pretty happy with who you've created?
I'm looking at the beard. That's the only thing I can actually look at. Everything else is not my style, but the beard looks good. So I'm gonna definitely try that. I haven't recreated my character yet, but in a while. So I'm looking forward to the beard, because the beard that I have right now is kind of scraggly. So I like it a little bit fuller.
Okay. Captain Jones, are you happy with your avatar? Or you do you go in and check and see what the newest hairstyle is? And you go to the barbershop and get that new fade, that new cut?
Yeah, I check out what's added every now and again, mostly concerning the faces, trying to tweak the face here and there. Generally, I would say the hair generally doesn't really apply to things that are going to suit my character. But I do like that they're constantly putting in some fresh material there.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. All right, space combat missions. Defend location. Adding missions where players are now defending a location's fuel tanks from NPC attackers. This includes a standalone mission and a compounding one where players will have multiple conflicting priorities to complete. This card has also been set to tentative. Space combat missions. When we did the QV missions a couple weeks ago or last week, a bunch of us went in. Like I said, Captain Jones was with us. That was the first time I'd had the Vanduul encounter. And I will have to admit, as NPCs, and that being PvE, they were pretty challenging. The first wave wasn't so bad, but our second wave that came in, it took us a little while. In fact, one of our guys got taken out, or his ship got taken out. He survived, but it took us a little while to get those knocked out. How are you guys feeling about the NPC attacking in the game, whether it's on ground, on foot, or whether it's in ships? Are you feeling like these missions now are actually challenging when you go in to do them? I'll go with you for this term, Captain Jones first.
I do like that they feel like you're not just running around with a bunch of stormtroopers. If you're not paying attention, those NPCs can get a couple shots to the head, take you down. So not ridiculous yet, and even if they were ridiculous, I wouldn't mind. But they're also not total pushovers, which is great, because we talked about soloing content before. One of the ways to make that gameplay more engaging is give us reasons to group up. So make it harder. NPCs means people got to work together a little bit more. Makes the experience more fun. And not to beat a dead horse, if they could make it more dynamic, that'd be cool too. Because I know every time I go to that place now, like I know There's going to be NPC on the left. I know where one's going to be
Mm.
hiding. I know when the ships are going to spawn in. So if they could
Mhm.
flip that around a little bit, that would add to the level of difficulty as well.
Yeah. I just recently, before I get to you, Bando, I just recently went to do a bunker mission. And, for years and years, when you've come down on the elevator, you kind of know that you can sprint through that first area, get behind some boxes, and start your stuff, right? And then you can go in deep if you want to. I came down the elevator. That dude was standing right downstairs when I came down, right? It changed the whole process because right off the bat, before my elevator hit the bottom, we were already shooting. And by the time I started shooting at him, other NPCs started coming into the area. I could not get off the elevator. I had to go back upstairs, you know. So it actually was cool, to your point, Cap, that was not, that predictability was gone in that particular case. And I'm not saying that's got to happen all the time. I have noticed that, to me, AI has gotten better with cover and taking cover and stuff like that, because they hide, get behind stuff, and sometimes you have to go after them. They still need some work, but they are definitely better. Bando, what are your thoughts about NPCs, whether on the ground or when they're in flight?
Like Cap said, I actually like them harder.
Mhm.
I like the team dynamic and trying to take down enemies. So and more coordination. I love coordination. So the harder the better for me. So
Mhm.
I'm with it. That it used to. I used to go to the bunkers when I first jumped on with the Soul team. It was kind of a cakewalk, and I'm just kind of sitting behind watching everybody. But now, it would be better if everybody is count magazines. Hey,
Mhm.
count. Just hey, you got to pull back. I'll move forward just because hey, and me, Cap knows I'm medical, so I
Mhm.
want to get in there too and be able to pull somebody out and
Oh,
fix them back up.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's I think it would be great.
Nice. Okay. And then last but not least, the KSAR plasma grenade, implementing Castak Arms area denial grenade. Prime it, throw it to lock down an area and prevent enemies from pushing through. This card's image has been updated. There have been certain things that we've seen in the demonstrations over the years with Star Citizen that people say, where is it at? We never got it. And then there's things they've never mentioned, and then they introduce it. For those of you who remember one of the first FPS demonstrations, they did this thing where they had these portable shields where they could drop it down in front of them, and this holographic shield came up and protected them. And we're like, where are those at? We've been waiting for them. But we know that they're in Squadron 42, right? They're not, we don't have them in the persistent use, but they are in Squadron 42. This item here, though, I remember them talking about grenades a long time ago, but this one I never heard of. So, Bando, what do you think about this? And it's a plasma grenade, and they say it prevents you from coming through an area. What do you think that means? Do you think that you hit it and something's toxic or something stays in there that you have to go a different route?
I'm thinking if it's plasma, it's probably like a firewall.
Yeah.
First, that's the first thing that pops up in my head when I think of plasma. Air denial. So like, a plasma wall, which would be perfect for me as a medic, throw one out, grab your guy, bring him out,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to actually seeing what that does and how we can use it.
Yeah. Yeah. The area denial thing is really interesting if you want to start creating choke points, out of areas, which is interesting too. Captain Jones, what do you think about this plasma grenade?
I think it's pretty interesting. We've had grenades for a while, but it was just regular old frag grenades. Having more of a sci-fi-ish type of grenade in a sci-fi game does pique my interest, and then how it's going to actually be implemented is interesting, because I do know that NPCs have been pretty grenade happy lately. They fling grenades nonstop now. They throw them multiple levels, below you, above you, through doors, bounce them off walls. So, I'm thinking, with the frag grenades, not that big of a deal, but once they start doing air denial, that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah. When we were down in doing the Onyx mission, and I think I was trying to catch up with you guys, I came out of the elevator, came to that big courtyard area where it's like 3 floors down, the very first area you go to. And I walked over to the edge to snipe a couple of the guys that were down below to kind of clear the area out a little bit. And as I stood there, I saw this little black dot come up, and I'm thinking, oh, it's a glitch. You know how how the game is, right? Oh, it's some type of weird graphical glitch. No, they threw a freaking grenade up from the first floor. That sucker landed about 10 feet from me. I was like, whoa, they're throwing grenades upstairs now. So they kind of freaked me, but it was good. It was actually great to know that they're doing stuff like that now, because before they weren't doing that. But I thought it was some graphics glitch. It almost got blown to smithereens. Okay. Let's see. Last but not least, a couple things left still. There's an April free fly from April 9th to the 20th that you can play Star Citizen for free and take up the helm of some of your favorite ships. I'm not sure how many backers take advantage of this, and what I mean by that is, do backers like ships that maybe they've never tried before, they go out there and fly them during the free fly week? But we know that this is mostly designed to introduce other people into the game. And we always ask this question whenever a free fly comes up. So Bando, my question to you is, are you at that point where you actually have somebody that you can invite, or are you still holding off on inviting somebody to play Star Citizen?
I'm still holding off. I invited my son and my nephew, and they got on it, and they were like, "We'll wait." So if the kids will wait, yeah, I think we need to wait just a little bit longer.
Okay. Cap, what about you? Are you at that point where you have somebody that you will invite, or is it pretty much not for anybody right now?
Learn from experiences to hold off. So, this game is built for a certain type of person at this point, with the coming through the glitches and the patience that you need. And I've learned that I don't want to lessen my enjoyment trying to convince or explain away the game as I'm playing. So yeah, I'm holding off. I think anybody who is going to play, they're going to play once they're ready, and I'm just waiting for that.
Okay, that's more than fair. Let's see, what do we got? I think we got one more next. Yeah, okay. Gotta talk about this one. Some of you know, some of you may not know that on Friday, people went into their hangars and saw that some of their packages that they've had sitting in their buyback, not in their hangar, in their buyback pledge category, looked like this. This is one of the packages that I had, and it was a Constellation Andromeda patch. I had bought it back last year, back in, as you can see, modified in 2024. But I had got this back in 2015, like a long time ago, like 10 years ago. And 10 or 11 years ago, whatever. It was the first multi-crew ship I ever bought. And back then, the Connie pack was like $225, I think. And you got the hangar, and you got, like, as you can see, or maybe you can't see, it's not up there. You got, like, yeah, it is. You got a PTV Bando, you got the ship, and you got 17 items with it. Okay. That was like the fish tank, the fish, USB drive, map of the galaxy, soundtrack to the game, USB, all this stuff you got with it, right? And you got a copy of Squadron 42. Okay. Now, what CIG did was any packages that had Squadron 42, they have been, as you can see, they've been grayed out. It says not available. And if you hold your mouse over it, which is what I did, it says, why can't I play this item? It will explain to you that there's something in here that is discounted, that was discounted. And the assumption is that Squadron 42, which, if for those of you who don't remember, when we first used to in Star Citizen, you would pay for access to the persistent universe, and you would also buy Squadron 42. They were separate items back in the day. They were like, do you remember what it was, Cap? It was like $20 and $20 or something like that. It was something weird like that. Does anybody remember back in the day? It's so long ago, I've forgotten. I'm talking like back in 2014, 2015, long time ago. But anyway,
yeah, it was super cheap, and cheap, and most game packages were going to come with Squadron anyway. So
right. But back then, back then the packages did, right? And then later on, they started getting it where you got a package and Squadron 42 was included in it in one price. Right. Okay. And then 3 years ago, they removed Squadron off of the store completely. But they also told us, and this is going to be the hard part for us to hear, CIG told us, be careful about using your buyback hangar as a place to, quote unquote, like have a secondary hangar of stuff, right? So anyway, on Friday, any packages or any ships that had Squadron, they got this thing not available. Now, what we don't know is this. We don't know if this was a glitch, or it was obviously there was some intent behind it, but we don't know what the intent was. And most of the argument that's going on right now is the fact that CIG did not give us a heads up, like to say, hey, don't forget by, April 15th, we're going to be doing this. So if you're going to get something out, get it. If they did this as a mistake, no problem. If they did it for another reason, to me, it seems kind of backward, because they would make more money letting me buy my package out. Like to get this out, I'd have to pay $225. And so getting Squadron at the original price of $20 it's not a loss, right? Because I'm going to pay $225 to get the ship out, right? And so to me, what I'm hoping that they're doing is going to give us the package back just without Squadron. But there are going to be people who are going to bark about that because people want their Squadron package too. So, Bando, I don't know if were you affected by this at all? Were you aware of it? Because some people didn't even know about that this had happened.
It looks like I was affected by this. Yeah, I have an Aurora package there that I was going to give my son, but looks like that's not going to happen.
Okay. So you have one package, right, that you're saying got affected by this? The Aurora one?
Yeah, my Aurora package.
Was that the one that you like the first one you bought when you came into the game?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Captain Jones, how about
you?
Back in when? Back in what? Do you remember?
2017, 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like 2017, 2016.
2016. Okay. That's probably about right. Captain Jones, what about you? Did you get affected by this at all?
I've got a few grayed out buyback packages right now, so it's definitely affecting. And I'm hoping that the reason for it is an upcoming announcement fairly soon. Maybe at Invictus that they're going to start dropping Squadron for pre-sale again. But at the same time, to your point, they can make more money by just letting people buy stuff back. I think most people that have packages in their buybacks probably already own Squadron anyway, so they're not trying to get it back for Squadron. They're probably just trying to get their package back. So, yeah, I have packages I'd like to get back. I'm hoping that they pull that back and at least they'll give people a little bit of a window saying, hey, by this date, and it's going to be started grayed out.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I'm one of many people that's hoping that changes pretty soon.
Okay. Buenos tardes. Hey, what's up, Trip Rodriguez? Thank you for sitting over here, folks. Thank you. Welcome, Raiders. We appreciate you guys being here. We're just wrapping up our Star Citizen this week, and we're getting ready to go into our topic for tonight, which is Star Citizen 1.0. So, Trip, I hope you had a great stream. Fast Card has already given a shout out to Trip. You all make sure y'all check out the joystick man himself, Trip Rodriguez. Cap, let me ask you this question. I know Bando ain't weeping about an Aurora package, but I will ask you, out of the packages that you had, is there something that you would want to get out because the price was was lower than if you were to get that out now? Was there anything in particular? Because for me, I want this back because, and I told the story about this. The reason why it's a long story why I melted this package, but to make a long story short, I'd be getting my Connie back at $2.25 versus $2.75. So is there anything that one of those packages that you actually do want because the price was better? Not even more about Squadron.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Squadron. The price is better on, obviously, on most of those old packages. You had great prices back then. But it's more so about the goodies or the things that are added in those packages. A lot of those things in the packages you're just not going to be able to get again.
Right.
They had electro skins and handcuffs and just things that people didn't even know that even exist to this day. So it's not about the ship because I pretty much have the ships that I want. I can get the ship, but it's some of the things that are in those packages that you're just not going to get again.
Yeah, true that. Yeah. Trip says, I want his, oh man, you had an OG Omega? Oh no, Captain Jones has got one. You still got yours, right, Cap?
Yeah, I remember I almost melted it once. And then
that'd have been heartbreaking.
I saw the little disclaimer on the SIG support site, so I kept it because that's one of the things. If you melt it, you ain't getting it back. It says so on there. So yeah, I still got it. It's never going anywhere. It's sitting right there, nice and shiny.
Yeah.
Not RSI, but it's still beautiful.
Okay, yeah, still that's a beautiful ship. That's one of those rare birds, y'all. I'd weep if I lost that. Fast Cart would have been crying for you if you lost that one. Okay. let's see. Last but not least, I think we have one more. Yeah. All right. Sneak peek. We're running a little bit over our time here, but we're going to hit this anyway. Bando, give me your best guess. Sneak peek. The top title of it is Take Command. What do you think that might be?
Command module for the Ironclad / Caterpillar.
Okay, Captain Jones, what do you think?
I mean, we know from progress reports that the command module is being worked on. It looks like a command module. It looks like Drake, and it says take command trifecta.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, they're trying to throw y'all off with that sideways picture, but yeah, if you turn it sideways,
just tilt your head a little bit, it still works.
Your head like this,
exactly.
You can see what it is. When they first talked about this command module with the Ironclad, they didn't necessarily say yay or nay to it being modular in the sense of it could work with the Caterpillar and also the Ironclads. Do you guys think they are going to make it that universal? Do you think it'll be universal like that?
I mean, they said they would, but you never know. But I'm hoping they do, because that'd be really cool.
Yeah, versus the Caterpillar having its own type in the Ironclad having its own type. You would rather want to have a universal one that they can go to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be so cool.
I think that's the direction they'll go, just for the ease of the work. Other than programming it to be universal, they don't have to make multiple command modules. So simplicity leads to they'll probably make it universal.
Okay. Yep. Well, we're a month away. We're a month away from Invictus just about, and everyone's fairly confident that this ship will be premiered, especially since they're showing us all this late artwork on the ship. Do either of you guys own an Ironclad?
I have a CCU, but no, not yet.
You waiting to
Still
see?
Thinking about it.
You waiting to see?
Yeah, I want to see it first.
Okay. Captain Jones?
Yeah, I have a path to get one if I want it through CCUs, but I really don't have my heart set on it for, other than the fact is a Drake. Flying a Drake, dying a Drake, but I really don't have need for it in my fleet. I mean, most people are going to be using it for a pocket carrier, and I have carriers, so probably pass.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. Okay. All right, gang. Well, listen, we are at the top of our hour. Actually, we're 6 minutes over. We're actually 10 minutes past where we should have been. But we are going to take our very quick 1 minute commercial break, and then we're going to get a 4 minute break after that. So 5 minutes total. You can get something to drink, get some snacks. When we come back, we are going to have our conversation, and we're going to review CIG's presentation from 2024, the very final presentation that Richard Tyrer did, talking about Star Citizen 1.0 and what's leading up to that. So stick around. We will be right back in just a minute. We'll see you soon.